the biggest thing I think I have to say about being an influencer, content creator, YouTuber, whatever it is you have to be who you are 100% of the time.
This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneur the Playbook, and I have Adaletta Avdic with Attitude, one of the original influencers. I love the word influencer because I'm an old man. I'm Uncle Dave of the internet, probably the oldest person with a following on Instagram. And I always thought these influencers were a joke. And now you just told me before we got on that there's kids now, 17 years old, instead of wanting to be doctors, lawyers, or failures, they want to be influencers.
Yep.
How would you define an influencer?
I think an influencer is somebody who has some sort of presence, whether it's online or through media, who is literally influencing people to either purchase products, go to events, do certain actions. They're basically pushing people. They're basically like the new version of salespeople, to be honest, because now that everything is transferred online, it's the new sales approach because every brand wants to talk to an influencer to sell their clothes, to sell their product. So it's honestly like the new age salesperson.
But you have to have a frequency, right?
Yes.
One of the things, you have to have patience.
Yes.
And a frequency. And one of the advantages I had in building my brand online was that I had a normal business, right? And I had a frequency. And then my purpose or influence was to inspire people, to help people. And so I'm one of the few influencers you'll see that I never sell anything. I actually give away my books and pay for shipping. But I'm blessed because I'm a traditional business person that makes enough money to do that.
Right.
But I'm all for selling.
Yeah.
And I'm all for people that have their own personality. How did you evolve to be an influencer? Because I think in 2013 you're at U of A and you had a college project.
Right.
What was the project and how does it evolve to being one of these great influencers today?
So senior English class, she basically said write 10 blog posts about one topic. And back then I was very into the electronic dance music scene. And that was kind of the thing that I was into. So I kept all my posts PG, but it was basically, be hydrated. Here's what you should wear. This is a cool
Survival
guy's
kit.
outfit. Basically like survival kit, like make sure you bring your ID, some of the basics. But my friends really said that they could hear my voice through my writing. And this is actually one of my favorite things when I read certain authors, if they're comedians or they do something else, when you can read their personality through what they write and what they post online, that's so powerful because you want to get personality out of a post. You don't want it to just say, having a good day. It's got to have some kind of meaning and personality behind it. And if people can get your personality through that content, it's incredible. But 10 blog posts turn into 50 blog posts. 50 blog posts turn into Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and everything else that I have today. So it all just kind of escalated back then when I started with music. I then started adding beauty because I loved makeup and I love to review products and tell people this is really good or this is garbage. Do not go to the store and buy this. And then I added travel over time because my old corporate job was in the tourism space. So then I got, the 5 things to do in Lisbon, 10 things to do in Chicago, the kind of like the hit list of things that you have to go see, places you got to eat. And then the most recent addition is fashion. So it's pretty much all lifestyle, but I started originally doing mostly beauty. So it's definitely evolved over time.
Coming from being an author to being able to speak on stage to then be able to have short form video, they're different mediums. And I think some people don't translate over from writing to being on a stage or being able to be videoed.
100%.
Where did you find the biggest challenge in that transformation?
Video for sure. When I first started on YouTube, everyone that knew me said, you have a video voice, the super shy, hi, I'm Adaletta, super awkward. And I watched those videos back. There's definitely awkwardness, but it takes a while to get comfortable in front of a screen because you don't know who's watching on the other side. Over time, you get more comfortable and you can talk and you can do interviews like we're doing right now, and it's super relaxed and chill. But when you first start out, it's hard to do that in person with people, and it's hard to exude who you are if you're actually talking to people. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I brought up, that kids want to be influencers, but we're getting in this day and age where sometimes people have so much personality in front of their phone and zero personality when they're actually out in the world and they're talking to people. So the biggest thing I think I have to say about being an influencer, content creator, YouTuber, whatever it is is you have to be who you are 100% of the time. You can't be one person online and then a whole other person when you're, not online. It just doesn't make sense because people can see right through that. They can see, this isn't really Angie, and like Angie's friends will know, like, that's really not who she is in person. So people always want to be somebody else and they want to live the lifestyle, but you got to just be yourself because people are more interested in real people than just, this magical fairy tale that's not even a real person.
Right. You can't pretend. I think it's interesting because I see, kids of my generation, when they were shy, they'd look at their own shoes. Today, kids that are extroverted, an extrovert today, I think that they just look down at the other person's shoes. That's an extrovert.
Yep.
But it's interesting, this frequency thing, because my biggest challenge when I started becoming a personality, right? I'd represented personalities as an agent, right?
Yep.
Ran the most notable sports agency, had the biggest names in sports, marketing company, and I was always Switzerland. Right, because I always wanted to get the deal done, so I was to bring everyone together, and I was always Switzerland. So all of a sudden, I had to I wrote a book, and people wanted to hear my voice.
Yeah.
And I started doing interviews as an expert on a variety of different things, from technology to sports or whatever, and I wanted to please everyone.
Yep.
And it was that same syndrome until I took a stance. I think, I never thought I'd have a Gary Vee poster up in my office or studio, but my favorite thing about Gary is he's not afraid to take a stance. Even sometimes he makes the most ridiculous stances in the world. In my opinion, which is cool because he believes what he says.
Right.
But he takes the stance.
Yep.
And I've learned so much as a mentor, for him to be my mentor, of, dude, you got to take a stance. You got to have a frequency.
Yep.
You have to have an opinion. And what I love now is people, like, they want me to do the audible for my new book. Right, they want me
They want
on
that voice.
stage.
Mm-hmm.
They want the voice.
Yep.
Even though I have a face for radio, they actually want to see the videos, because now I literally get what they were talking about. Find your frequency.
Yep.
And the hardest part about doing that is, I have a feeling you're the same as me. I wanted everyone to love me. Right, I wanted to,
I started off that way. I did. I wanted to
figured.
people pleaser, and I wanted everyone to like me. I wanted everyone and their mother to follow me. Oh my gosh, if you didn't follow me, you couldn't be friends with
And be
me.
nice to you,
It was
right?
just like,
And be nice to you.
Yeah, it was a have to please everybody. But again, that's one of the things that I learned over time, is that I'm not going to please everybody. People are not going to like me for whatever reason. So I'm just going to jive with the people who do like me, because at the end of the day, there's always that one person. This is the best analogy. There's always that one person that you see and just the sight of them annoys you. And that's who I am to some people. And that's okay, because that's just the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Not everyone's going to love you. But when I started, I was like, everyone needs to follow me, and my friends and family were like, you need to relax.
Mine
and
too.
You get over it over time, because you're like, okay, I have all these people who care about what I have to say. I don't have to force anybody, to follow me at this point.
My biggest problem now, and I think it happens to athletes and influencers, is my family wants to protect me. So I have to keep my wife off of some of the comments because she gets like personally upset. And I'm like, first of all, just tell them to call me on my cell phone.
Yeah.
Like, if you got a problem with me or you don't agree with what I'm saying, I'm so open.
Right.
In fact, I'm very interested to understand people that don't get me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm interested more in people
to hear their perspective.
that don't, like you said, some people, this happened to me today at the gym. It's funny that you said that. There's this guy at the gym, and I know for whatever reason, does not like me. I've never talked to him.
Yeah.
Ever. He may listen to my videos, watch my videos or listen to me, but he absolutely doesn't want, so today I saw him coming in as I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So I kind of maneuver over to give him the big, like, hey man, how you doing? And he gave me the ice cold Ivan Drago scare. Like, I'm going to knock you until tomorrow. If he dies, he dies. Yeah. Like, not even an emotion in his face other than, you disgust me, man. I'm not even going to recognize you.
It's crazy.
What do you do with the negative comments? Do you ignore them? Do you respond?
So for the most part, I ignore the negative comments. And someone actually told me something recently that did resonate with me, in the fact that if we don't respond to negative comments, we are still responding on the inside, and we're internalizing that hatred that someone sent our way. So the idea is to read it, like compartmentalize it and then move on, because you have to process it. If someone's sending you really nasty things, which they will no matter what, I can't tell you how many people in this industry have told me that my lips need to be bigger, that I need a nose job, that I need, you know, like Botox, and it's every
Imagine what
day.
they're saying about me, because you're
people
beautiful.
say like teeth, like people notice my teeth too, because I talk on Instagram stories and they're like, wow, your bottom teeth are really crooked. And I'm like, thanks, Susan. I know. I see them every day. You know, like you don't need to tell me something I already know. But the amount of hate is just, I take it in, whatever. And I move on, because at the end of the day, I'm happy with who I am. And you know that they're just not happy with who they are. So they feel this need to send this negative energy because they're unhappy themselves. It's taken me a long time to get to this point where I can just shrug it off, because it really did offend me and it hurt me. And I would tell, you know, a friend, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I just got this nasty comment. And my friend would be like, well, why do you don't even believe it? It doesn't even matter at the end of the day. Who is this person, and why don't they even have a profile picture? You know, like they're just a negative Nancy online, just spreading negativity. So you just got to move past it.
If you look at their profiles, they're all negative.
Yep.
So how could they look at you positive if everything has a lens?
Everything has a negative. Yeah, they're looking through. I don't know if we can cuss, but
yeah, you can cuss.
Shit stained glasses. That's
exactly.
Everything is through that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now you give a lot of good advice as well. And I'd love your advice on how to build a brand today. If you have that 17-year-old and they came up to you and said, Adeletta, I love what you do, right? That's your name. Is that how you giggle?
No. It's
but they do say that, right?
There's so many questions about this all the time of how do I do this?
Yeah, because I get the same one, but I'm 51 years old. And I didn't start with a blog in 2013. I'm a traditional business person, and I don't sell.
Yeah.
And so, but I do know how to brand people traditionally and digitally. But what advice would you give? This, you know, I know some of it you and I share.
Yeah.
What would that advice be?
It's changed a lot since I started. It's much easier to do this today, but there's a lot of resources online. There's amazing sources like Gary Vee, who can really teach you how to build everything from the ground up. But the biggest thing is stay authentic and find that passion, because you can't really start off as lifestyle and this all-encompassing personality today as easily as you could 10 years ago, because now there's experts in every field. There's beauty experts, there's fashion experts, there's cooking experts. So you have to pick something and just share with the world why you're so passionate about it. And you have to be consistent. You have to post the same time every week or post every day on Instagram. There's got to be some kind of consistency with the posting, because people need to know and rely on you for that content every single week so they can look forward to it. You know, there's people who say, you know, this person has a video on Tuesday night at this time, and that's what I'm waiting for, you know, on that day. So the consistency is key, but having the passion for one topic, and then back to my original point, just be yourself. Do not try to be another personality. Don't try to copy and mimic other people, because there's so much of that going on right now. If I do certain things, if I change the way my photo looks on Instagram, I literally see 10 people doing that the next day that are on my feed. I'm like, what on earth? Why can't we all just like be different? And I'm just trying so hard to be different, but everyone just latches on to trying to be something different, because everyone wants to stand out. And in a age where everybody wants to do this, it's hard. It really is. So you just got to be true to what you know.
Speaking to how hard it is, because it's very competitive.
Yes.
And I feel so blessed to be my age and doing what I'm doing and having this additional supplement to my life. And my family freaks out. I'm at the beach house this weekend, and a few people like stalk, you know, right by, and then all of a sudden walk up and go, are you Mr. Meltzer from Instagram? Right? Are you Uncle Dave? Can I take a picture with you?
Yeah.
Like my whole family's on the back.
Yeah.
Going, are you kidding, Dave? Are you literally, this is really happening? You know, and then they're like, whoa, you're friends with Gary Vee. You know, it's so cool. But one word comes to mind that most people, especially 17-year-olds, don't get, including my kids. And it takes a lot of patience. Talk to me about, you know, how long it takes, even though you have your frequency, how long it takes to build an audience.
So this is one of those most frequently asked questions. Someone's coming to me and wants to make their rent money, and they don't even have an Instagram account. I'm like, oh, you're going to have to wait a while until you can actually make money from this before you make $1. It was a black hole of money for me for about 3.5 years until I actually started making some income. But back then, I mean, the brands weren't really paying. Today, you can have 1,000 followers and you could still make $40 off posting something.
Sure.
So you really can do it right away. It just, you need an audience. You need people who are going to click through. You need people who are going to do what you say. But you also don't necessarily have to be a salesperson. You need to be creative in your content. So if you don't drive a sale, but you have super engaging content that you're creating, you have an amazing photographer, awesome videographer, brands will hire you for that too, even though you didn't sell anything. You know, it just really depends on what your end goal is. So there's two sides to it. So it really does require some kind of an audience, because that's truly, you can't be an influencer without influencing somebody. And today I think they say you only need 1,000 followers to really, you know, push something. But I think it's because you need 1,000 true fans with whatever business, you know, traditional business, social media business, anything. If you have 1,000 true fans, any business can be successful, because those people will buy and take in what you're giving them no matter what. So you just need those loyal fans.
Now, my biggest challenge is, you know, I have a show with Entrepreneur, 40 million viewers. We get over 5 million views and listens and everything on the podcast. And then I have a smaller Instagram than you do, but for a guy my age, you know, I think I'm at 250,000 in a year and a half.
It's a lot.
But I can't, I do everything myself. Like, I want to respond myself.
Yeah.
I send books,
Yep.
pay for shipping myself. And I'm looking at it, and
Man,
it
you're
keeps
busy.
growing. It keeps growing.
Yeah.
And it scares me because I'm not an influencer in the respect that people ask me all the time to sell stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I only wear, like, people send me stuff to wear. I only wear what I like. I don't
Yep.
wear to sell it. I think that if I like a Masters shirt or whatever, then I'm going to wear the Masters.
Yeah.
Masters don't pay me.
Right.
But they might give me a free shirt. Hint. And I get books all the time, and I talk about them. But your following keeps growing. Does it ever, you know, is there an area that it's like, oh my gosh, this thing's going to break? Like, I know you can monetize it, but do you worry about the other side of it? Like, because, you know, I'll walk the streets in New York with Gary, and it's like Muhammad Ali. And I don't want that. Like, I'm perfect famous. I like 2 or 3 people wanting to take a picture with me.
Yeah.
And I look cool, and I'm like ego boosted. But I don't want to, like, Warren Moon is my business partner. We go to dinner and he can't eat.
Yeah.
Does any of that ever worry you?
I think there's one side that does worry me, which is if you get to 1 million followers, it's a lot harder for brands to pay you, because they feel like it's unfair if they don't have the budget. So that's one problematic side on the business side of things. Because even today, with the amount I have, some brands are offering me like $100 for a post, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, right,
you know,
exactly.
like that's not even enough to
You've
cover my
outgrown the market.
photographer.
Right.
You know, so there is that business issue. But then in terms of the safety thing, my fiance and my friends always tell me not to take photos in very notable places, especially around the house, because someone can see like a corner, a street corner. And I live in the desert. So if they saw a certain saguaro or they saw a certain bush, they would know where I live, because there are kind of creepy people like that. And they also see my P.O. box address, but I'm just glad that it goes there, because that all gets filtered. There is that element that, because I am very real and I kind of do talk a lot of smack like Gary Vee does, someone's going to get pissed off at some point. Am I going to piss them off enough to send me like poop in a box? I don't know. You know,
those shit glasses that you're looking for.
I
but
mean,
it is, yeah.
That's like the scariest part.
I mean, I show my office, and the office is public. I've had Ed Milet, people show up at his house. People have shown up, and I live in a gated community, and they still get through.
What?
Yeah. Well, because they do the same thing. They know the neighborhood.
Oh, they're just following somebody into the neighborhood.
Yeah,
or
and they
know
can ask
the code
at the door.
Oh my
Gay
goodness.
guys have now picked up on it, because one actually is an Instagram fan, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But someone said, "Oh, it was Mr. Meltzer. I'm here to see Mr. Meltzer," and said something, and they let him in. And he goes, "Oh, by the way, is he down here to the right or the left?"
Oh,
and he told him where I lived, and yeah, they showed up. Luckily, it was a fan.
Okay.
You know, not
somebody who was angry.
I'm not usually preach gratitude, and I'm not quite as edgy.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to inspire people. Last question, though. I know it's always with the good people that I think my show's too short, by the way. But I'm just like a fan. I'm like, God, he needs a longer show. These people are great. What advice would you give me? I'm in a different space than you, but, you know, I'm growing. LinkedIn's huge. Instagram's huge. I'm trying to grow my YouTube, which is much harder.
Yeah, a lot
for
harder.
both of us.
a
Yeah.
lot harder.
But
Yeah.
what advice would you give me over the next 12 months of me as an influence? What would you do if you were me?
I think I would focus a lot on video content. Doing this podcast and having a voice to what you're saying is amazing, because it's getting away from just images. But video, even better. And I'm part of the influencer squad for Gary Vee, he sends videos for everything. Like he says he's sending us wine. He sends a video to the influencers and says, I'm sending this wine and I hope you like it. It's the best wine you've ever going to taste. Hope you guys like it, you know, but everything is video. Just because there's more, you can actually exude your personality. And that's what drives sales these days. It's a lot harder to just show an image of something and have thousands of people buy it. But if they see you talking about it across the board, you can share it on IGTV now. By the way, Instagram is really pushing IGTV at the moment. The views are just, I mean, they're substantially more than if you ever post in your feed.
Right.
So the focus is really on video. So I would
She's a
say
Gary
you could do
Vee
more
girl.
video.
That's the advice Gary gave me. So I started doing 3 videos a day, and
Yep.
literally things went crazy.
I mean,
that's why we video this now.
Yeah. The fact that IGTV, like 3 months ago, I posted on my feed, 30,000 views maybe. IGTV, almost 100,000. I didn't do anything differently. I just posted on IGTV, and it's because Instagram wants you to stay on there.
form.
Well, they also want you to stay on Instagram as long as possible. So they're going to push whatever it is, whatever new feature, so you would spend more time and post all your content there and not go to YouTube. So
Right.
it's...
There you go.
Yep.
I'm a big video guy.
Yeah.
Another
I think you have
mentee
a
of
great
Gary Vee.
personality for it too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think it works when you have a personality versus, you know, some people are just like stone cold face. That doesn't really
That
work.
gets boring. Well, you have a great personality, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much
Really
for having
great
me.
advice. There's so many people that want to be influencers, and it is an entrepreneur. An influencer is an entrepreneur.
Yes.
There's many ways to monetize it, and what's cool about it is you control your own brand as an influencer.
Yes, you
and
can
should
decide
do
how you want to
something.
make money, who you want to work with, you know, how often. It's
How you want to change.
Exactly.
Grow. It'll be fun to watch you, and I'm a huge fan of yours too, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. This is Adaletta and Dave Meltzer. Is that right?
Yes.
Did I get it? Good. This is Adaletta and Dave Meltzer here with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.